welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
I'm Sil.
And we're recording in a mini blizzard. I won't say it's a blizzard because everybody laughs for people from Toronto when we say it's a blizzard, but they did say it was a blizzard in Environment Canada. And I'm actually wondering if Austin Matthews has seen this much snow. I don't know. Unless he's gone to like Midwest America and into skiing and stuff. But yeah, I would be interesting to see if he has. And but I think the practice might be canceled since the Gardner is closed. So
yeah, it'd be hard for them to get down there to the practice arena probably today.
Yeah. But yeah, we actually have an exciting show today because we actually have games to talk about this time. Last show we only had the one game versus Ottawa, but they've been back for a little bit. And yeah, so we got some games to talk about. And then we also have the winner of our holiday giveaway to announce at the end of the show. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But first, we have a couple of quick notes just regarding the All-Star Game roster announcement.
Yes, and of course, Austin Matthews was chosen as captain of the Atlantic Division, and Jack Campbell was also chosen by the fans, and it will be his first time as an All-Star. Another note to add, I can still try to get JT in as well as the last man in. We've done our voting. And hopefully the rest of Leafs Nation has also, because obviously people are going to be listening to this on Wednesday. It will be too late to actually put that call to action out. So we hope that everybody did get their votes in to get JT in.
Yeah, well, all the Leaf players have definitely put it out there on their Instagram accounts and everything. They put on their stories to do that. And I think a lot of Leaf fans too, I know myself included, we also were putting in Nas as well.
Oh, I did too.
I mean, I can't believe that he didn't. Yeah, I can't believe that he didn't get chosen.
I know, because he's like top 5 in scoring or something like that, right?
Yes,
still
he's fifth. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's enough for me, and should be enough for a lot of people. But anyhow, we voted for him too, and yeah, and I'm happy for Jack Campbell, but I still wouldn't have minded if he had the time off a little bit. I know that we've had enough time off, I guess, from the Christmas break.
Yeah, true.
But just, I don't know. But still, it's good for him and everything that he's been through and finally.
Yeah, and I noticed also Freddie Anderson is also going to be going.
Yes.
So Austin and Freddie will be able to, kind of pal around again, which is, I guess, nice for them.
And have their little chat again. Yes, they're in the same conference, so they can hang out together a little bit. So that'll be good. So yeah, so a couple other quick notes. First, about Zach Hyman's return to Toronto, I really hope the Leafs do a proper tribute for him when the fans are in the building because I don't know. I just thought it was funny too. Nothing really. I mean, a few people said it on social media and that, but how he was waving to nobody in the crowd, like that was kind of funny when he got up on the bench and he was like, "Hi." It's like,
well, he might not have been waving to nobody because he might have had like his friends and family, his personal friends and family in the rink because they're allowed to have 1,000 people. So it's highly likely that that his wife and kid and stuff were in the stands. So that's probably who he was waving to.
Maybe, yeah. But I hope that they just do something when we're there. I think it's, I guess, to show like the actual fans of the team that watched him play as a Leaf and to show our appreciation for him.
I'm sure they will. Like, and nice. Even if they don't like do something formal, I bet there will be something impromptu for him, where the fans will just show their appreciation.
They're going through a tough time right now, though. Let's just say that he must be thinking that he's back in Toronto again.
Yeah, definitely.
With what the Oilers are doing. But and then one other item we want to highlight before getting into the show. And if you're following us on social media, you would have seen our question that was highlighted on the TSN Sports Center with Jay Onright.
That's right. We want to thank Craig Button and Jay Onright for answering our question about Leafs prospects. And if you didn't see it, you can find it on all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And our handle is, of course, at LTL 1917. All right, so let's get into some Leaf talk and what seems like the never-ending road trip that they are currently on, starting with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then we're going to get into the ladies' Talkin' Leafs highlight reel, and we will end off with, of course, the third period. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
Good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, starting off with the good, as always. So my good is Michael Bunting, the good old Scarborough boy. And I did not, well, I think I heard this before, but did you know that he is a rookie?
Technically, he's a rookie because he hasn't played enough games?
Yes.
I did not know that.
So
I just assumed he played enough games.
No, because he only played... From what I looked, I haven't written it down, but I think he played 6 games in the first season. And then last season, he only played like 25 or something. So he's still a rookie.
Wow.
With, and I didn't know this until I went on NHL.com and I happened to see his face there in the rookie scoring. And he's actually in a 3-way tie for 4th in rookie scoring as of today, Monday.
That's not too shabby.
So when we're recording this. So that's pretty good. But, I mean, he's definitely worked out well, obviously, as a player. That Kyle Dubas signed at a much cheaper price than Zach Hyman. 2 years at a $950K. Which is pretty good. He's similar style to Hyman, but he has the chirping, basically, which is more like Darcy Tucker.
I guess they probably can't mic him up, but I would love to know what he says, because like that game against St. Louis, what the hell did he say to Krug? Like, that's what I want to know.
I know.
I don't know what he says, because it doesn't even, like, he doesn't make it as obvious as, like, say, Brad Marchand. Like, you know when he's doing something.
No.
And he is so sneaky. I have no idea. And I just am so curious as to what the heck he's actually saying. Like I was saying to my family, like, the guy must do research before the game on players to figure out what he's going to dig at. Like, I don't know. It's pretty masterful what a rise he gets out of people.
And and I mean, the only thing he doesn't play the PK like Hyman used to play on the PK,
but you never know. Like, they could maybe, develop that part of his game eventually. I mean, as you said, he's still a rookie. Lots of development left for him.
But then we have other players too that basically, because I don't think, I was reading somewhere too, and it's true, it's not just one player replacing Hyman. It's kind of like a group of them now, like that Kyle Dubas, like they got David Kampf.
Well, they basically got all of those guys for about the same cost as Hyman got this year.
Or even less. Yeah. Yeah, forget about, we won't get into the other name I was going to mention, which is the bad. So we'll move on to your good. Let's go into your good.
So,
who's your good?
My good this time around, I'm going to say Willie Nylander. Now, people might say, why choose him? Because in this segment of games, he didn't really put up as many points. But I find that it's not necessarily the offense, finishing, which obviously has been great this year, but he is doing so many other things and contributing in other ways. Like in one of the games, he had 2 pretty key assists. He had the shootout winner, and Keefe is trusting him on the ice to close out games and stuff too with that line. Yeah. So
He's even got some PK time
100%. So he's really expanded his game significantly this year. I just love his demeanor. Like I've been saying, he's like definitely looks like he's on a mission. He has matured a lot as a player, and I'm really impressed with him. And he is always a threat as a game breaker. I still think he has that in his back pocket always. So yeah, he is my good.
Yeah, for sure. No, and he's just continued that. I mean, I think it started pretty much last year's playoffs. Like he just has continued to roll from that series because he really played well versus the Habs last year, and it's just that consistency. I think too that he's more consistent now.
Yeah, he doesn't kind of go on his little jaunts as much as he did in past seasons.
Exactly. Yeah, and. Yeah, he's just becoming more of a complete player, and his next point is actually going to be number 300. So that's going to be a big thing for him. And so I'm totally with you with Willie. I don't know. It's like you said, his demeanor too. Like there's just something. I don't know, something about it that he seems to be on a mission.
Definitely.
Say, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the bad. Right. Who you got?
Yeah. All right, I think a lot of people got this guy. It's Nick Ritchie. I don't know. This is one of them moves that Kyle Dubas has made that just hasn't worked out. At least still not yet. We're almost halfway to the season, and he's actually cleared waivers now.
No,
so
I got a feel for the guy too, in a way. You know, like I'm sure this is not what he thought it was gonna be like either. You know,
No, but that'll help us. The fact that he cleared waivers, that's going to help us a little bit with the salary cap if we end up sending him to the taxi squad or down to the Marlies. But now he's on the COVID protocol list, so his luck still hasn't happened too good. So, but yeah, once everyone gets back, because they were saying for Saturday's game versus St. Louis, they were saying that we were going to have a full lineup, and then all of a sudden we had Kasha, Hall, and Ritchie on the protocol list. So, but once he comes back, I think he's going to be the odd man out. And, I mean, he only had, I thought he was actually turning it around versus the Avalanche where he scored a goal.
Yeah, I know, but then he had couple bad penalties and stuff. And
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was a couple of dumb penalties and it, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be going for him.
Do you think it's because he's, like, I wonder it's because if his skating is more of an issue than they thought it was going to be, because I think that happens. Like if you're not fast enough to keep up with the pace of your team, then, you know, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to be too late for things. You have to get in the place somehow. And then that's going to cause those situations where you get those bad penalties. So, and now we don't have Barb Underhill, so who's going to help him with his skating? So, I don't know. I kind of wonder if that's really the issue, and it could also be his head. His head is also not fast enough, you know, mentally, to make the quick
and I think too, being from here again,
pressure,
some players it's different
that they put on themselves even more so than Leafs Nation does.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they still consider him being a big part. Who knows? Maybe, like, let's just say once everybody's back and healthy, hopefully he comes back from the COVID protocol and they, maybe they send him down to the Marlies for a little bit just to get going, hopefully a little bit. And then maybe come playoff time, because he's a big body, like maybe like he'll be that grinding type of player in the playoffs. Maybe it'll work out.
Yeah, that's true, because, you know, as everyone's always saying, the game is different in the playoffs. So maybe that
with his size and that,
you know, the more plodding type of grindy game will lend itself more to his game, and then he'll be able to shine there. That's true. That's a good point. So I hope that is the case.
Hopefully. All right. What's your bad?
My bad is probably something that's weighing on most of our, all of our Leafs Nation collective minds, is the blown third period and just blown leads in general. Obviously, that's not something we want to still be seeing at this stage. And it just brings back a lot of bad memories. However, when I was thinking about this, there could be a silver lining with it, in the sense that they are getting practice getting over this. So if they get a little better, the whole thing is that in the end is that you win the game, right? So
Yeah.
The fact that they're not giving up on any of them is a good sign. And learning to win these games, I think, is also important. So whereas last year it was pretty easy for them and they didn't have that much adversity, maybe this is going to pay off for them.
Even though,
interestingly, when you heard Sheldon Keefe's comments about this, he was asked if this is worrying him. And he basically said flat out in a very short answer, no. That's all he said. Yeah. And I think maybe it's for that reason, because, this is where you develop the skill to come back and still finish it off, even when you allow things to kind of, because the thing is,
in some ways,
you're going to play good teams, and good teams are going to be able to push back. So you need to not just completely lose your mind and give up. You need to be able to finish even when the chips are down.
I would like to see that type of game. Let's just say, I don't know, I guess maybe Saturday's game, or even versus the Avs or Vegas. I would like to see them play Boston, even if it's a regular season game, play the Bruins and come back and win. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a huge, even if it's regular season, I think that would be a huge thing for the mental state. But in some ways, I think this whole COVID situation too has affected them. So I think and it's not just us, obviously, but just the whole thing, the postponed games, the messed up schedule, and other Canadian teams have been they've been horrible, I guess, since coming back from the break. Because I don't understand, why is there fans in the building in Alberta? I thought that they didn't have any fans either, but I guess they have limited capacity. I don't know. I was watching the game versus it was Edmonton and Ottawa on the weekend, and they had fans.
Well, each province controls it, right? So they can decide to do that. They don't care as much there.
But I mean,
part of it is their healthcare system is a little different because it's that public-private. So, their public capacity is probably not great, but if you can afford it, you can still get more help there.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the ugly here. All right. The ugly, these two have been on here too many times, but something has to be done with the Muzzin and Hall pairing. That's my ugly. I don't know what it is. It's just not the same as the previous, last season or the previous seasons and I think it's been enough time to figure it out. We're almost at the halfway point of the season, and they're just slow, and they're playing the hardest minutes against the top lines of the other team. But I don't know if Kyle Dubas is going to do anything at the deadline. I think he definitely has to find somebody to play with Muzzin. Hall can go on. I'm debating between Hall and Dermott as to which one is not. Which one is the better of the two? Because even Dermott, I've not been impressed with his play a lot. He was okay with Sandin, but then Sandin, because of the salary cap, apparently they couldn't play him that one game, and they put Liljegren in. I think that was versus St. Louis. I think it was, and then he was kind of all over the place. Dermott was, but yeah, no, I think with Muzzin and Hall, I don't know.
Well,
we've been saying with Muzzin that he's been injured since the beginning of the year. We said it, right? He just hasn't been himself. And and the other night against St. Louis, he could have got the puck out, and he kind of whiffed on it, as they said. He kind of got it almost to the blue line, but not quite. And it normally, if he was himself, he would have got that puck out. But I think and Hall now is in COVID protocol, so I don't know. Maybe that'll.
So with Dermott, I think part of the problem is that depending on who he's with, he's flip flopping sides. Hall doesn't have that excuse,
right?
So that's not easy to do. I think true. Play the right side one night and the left side the other night. That's So I think you got to give him a bit of a pass for that. And the fact that they will do that with him, they're not doing that with Hall. He's staying on his side, right? No. So, so I think that's the case with Dermott. I don't know. I see Dermott has, some skill sets with the breakouts and stuff that Hall I don't think is quite the same or as good at. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I would personally see Dermott as more of an asset because at least they trust him enough to flip-flop him like that, even though it's not necessarily going to be the greatest for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, I don't, and the fact that you mentioned that, they're playing the toughest minutes, like, I suppose that's the real thing, is that they, you would think that they would maybe want to remove them from those matchups. However, we don't have anybody else that kind of plays like them that can do that. So that is the kicker. And that is sort of what they have to address when the trade deadline comes, because they need somebody that can handle those types of matchups, right?
Yeah, Liljegren played okay.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good.
With Muzzin on Saturday. I mean, obviously, again, like you were saying with Dermott and switching him, like switching pairings and all that. With defense, it's very different when it comes to having your partner.
Because you need to know where that person is, and you need to really have trust in them, right? So
yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll stop with the Muzzin Hall.
Yes, we have addressed that ad nauseum this season, unfortunately.
Yes. We'll go on to your ugly.
Kind of a sad case of Petr Mrazek. I feel really sorry for this guy in a way, because he's another one that I'm sure this is not how he thought it was going to go. He is a guy that traditionally has been in like the up there with the top goalies for the games that he played, but now he's sitting, at around, skirting the
goals against average, or the save percentage,
the goals against average of 4, which is
average,
not good. And especially the last game he played, where he only had 18 shots. That was against Arizona. Yeah.
No, I know I knew from the beginning, like I think we mentioned this a few months ago when we first got him, the injury history. I just remember him with the Red Wings, and he was, and that's prior to him being with Carolina, but he had the injuries, but not, and this whole COVID situation again has thrown everything out the window because he was coming back. He seemed to play well. And then we had this extended COVID break over Christmas, but 3 years at $3.8 million could end up being quite an issue for us again. And again, unless there is still the last half of the season here.
Well, and there's going to be so many games, so they're not going to be able to play Campbell for all of them, because they're going to be trying to get in as many games as possible. So that is the thing, because he has not been able to get any traction with the games, and with this whole layoff situation. I actually think it's bad for both of them, because Campbell hasn't been his best self over this last little bit with the games that he's been in too, because they're just not getting enough regular play. So
and I did read an article about Mrazek where they were giving the options of what to do with him, and they said that they could waive him, but I'm like, you can't risk waiving him, because who are we going to have as a backup?
Right.
Hutchinson, we're not going to go back to that.
Well, maybe it'd be Joseph Wall, because he performed pretty well.
But but unfortunately he just got injured.
See, he's another one that has the injury troubles. Can't stay healthy.
And then obviously the other thing is trade, but who's going to want the sample size and the injury with Mrazek now? Like, who's going to want to trade for him with that 3 years at $3.8 million? Right. But so I don't know. That's an ugly situation there. But like we said, we're still only close to the halfway point of the season, and hopefully things will turn around soon. But thankfully though, over the past couple of weeks, there's been a few positive moments that made our Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel. So let's get into that. Let's roll it.
All right. So at number 3, we just mentioned him a little bit, Jack Campbell. his highlight reel save versus Colorado on Devon Taves, where there was all kinds of chaos in front of the net, but somehow Jack tracked the puck through the crowd and dove across to stop a sure goal. That was incredible. And he's had several moments like that. So, definitely deserving.
That was a great description. And the only thing we need to add to it was Naz standing at the side of the net, and he put his hands up like this,
thinking that it was
looking
going
at
in
me right now. Yes, but no, he couldn't believe it. Sort of thing. He had his hands up beside his head. It was hilarious. I loved it with Naz there. But yeah, he's definitely. He definitely deserves being on our highlight reel for most of Ladies Talking Leafs highlights.
Yeah, that's right. He gets picked a lot for a reason.
Up. We love, yes, and a belated happy birthday to him too. It was his birthday last week, I think it was.
I saw it there,
Jack. But happy birthday, Jack, and congrats again to him for being named on the All-Star. All right, so I am one other thing though for Campbell. I am thinking that he might be hitting a wall a little bit with, like you were saying, with the Mrazek situation where he's giving up a lot of goals lately. But that might be due to workload too, or not enough workload.
Or just inconsistent. It's just, I think goalies are kind of like pitchers in a way that they need the regular schedule a little bit more. Yeah.
But we need Mrazek to pick it up for him too, to help him out. Yeah. All right. So number 2 on the highlight reel, Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel, is somebody we've already talked about. It's William Nylander. But Willie is just continuing his great play this season, like we said earlier. And he's second on the team in points with 36. And the highlight reel moment is his shootout winner versus Vegas. So he was showing the confidence and the speed he had going in before. He was kind of faking the shot. I kind of replayed the goal a few times, and I saw him kind of fake the shot and then making a couple of slick stick moves. And then it was just incredible. And then he shot it past Leonard. But I mean, I don't think there's much else to say about Willie that we've already.
No, he's doing it all. Yeah. He, like we said, has really expanded his game, but he's still a game breaker, which is why he can do stuff like that with that shootout goal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And number 1 on our highlight reel is, of course, Austin Matthews. Who else?
Guess who?
He set the Maple Leafs record versus the Coyotes by scoring a goal in 9 straight road games. Now, I guess that's kind of easy to do right now because they're on the road all the time. But so, if you're going to score in a row, anyways, but yes, so 9 straight goals.
But he's done it.
And that was and versus Colorado, he scored twice in a span of 33 seconds. So this was his 45th career multi-goal game, one shy of Ovechkin, who has 46. For the most amount all players since he entered the NHL in 2016-2017. He just continues to roll.
Yeah, that was from Sportsnet. That's why I got still tongue-tied there but I wrote it out exactly from Sportsnet stats on Twitter with his 45th career multi-goal game. But that's incredible. I mean, Ovechkin has 46, but I mean, he's been in the league for God knows how long.
I think it's safe to say he's going to crush that record.
Yeah. And now also Austin is now in 11th spot in Maple Leaf history with 223 goals. And most likely he'll get in the top 10 this season because he's only seven goals behind Ted Kennedy, who has 230 goals in 10 spots. So,
wow.
Yeah, he just continues. Yeah,
that's incredible. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, hopefully he'll be a Leaf for a long time and we'll be able to crush that record too. So anyway, it is really good news that he loves being a Leaf, as he said, and we're hopeful that he stays here for a long time. With the whole thing with Arizona, when they go there, the question always comes up about, is he going to want to play there? We both have our opinions on that. But after the game, of course, he was asked. And he said, I really, really enjoy playing in Toronto. I really believe in this team. I love the passion the city brings, Leafs Nation, and all that comes with it. And so he's a big game player and he should be in a big game market. And I think we can agree that, yeah, Arizona ain't that. So, of course, we also love being part of Leafs Nation and the passion that we bring. And we have a lot more to talk about in the third period. So let's get to that.
Yeah. So the third period. So my topic for the third period here is if we're any closer to having that killer instinct that Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan said that we were missing at the end of last season's playoff disaster, basically, versus the Habs. Because we all know, Leafs Nation out there, listeners, we all know it's all about the playoffs. That's what we're turning up for. And I'm just wondering right now, we're almost at the halfway point again, and wondering, like, for that killer instinct, who has it, who needs to get more of it, and Sheldon Keefe's role. Like, I was just trying to, I guess, dive into that a little bit. So for me, like, to me, there's no doubt, like, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, and Marner, like, even they had it last year too.
Yeah, that's the thing I was just going to say is that, it all depends on if something is going to mentally shift for them in the playoffs, because that's what seems to happen in some cases, or has happened in the past.
The thing with Marner, though, he's a little bit different, because I think he actually cares too much, like the way they've said this before in the media.
I don't think it's ever been a question of him not caring. It's the opposite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite. And I don't know, all this pressure seems to be on, I guess, for this season, everything seems to be focused on him, not so much on Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares. All Leafs Nation seems to be focusing on Marner, and he's only played, he has 21, well, I didn't add in the couple of points he got, maybe he's 23 points now in 27 games around there that he's played. So he hasn't, it has to be, around 27 games. But I don't know. That collective group, and then you have to add in, I added in Riley, Brody, and Kerfoot. Kerfoot really is the one that I've noticed that, I mean, he's had an excellent season this year. Mm-hmm. Like, he's really brought his game, but and again, I guess it's similar to Willie from last year's playoffs. He showed he's a playoff player too. I thought Kerfoot did last year, and he just is so versatile too. But I think he has that playoff mentality as well. I think we take him for granted a little bit in Leafs Nation. We don't really talk about him enough. But I also think, though, that Sheldon Keefe's words after the game versus Arizona, where he said about the conditioning, like, I think that might be a way for him that he's trying to bring out that killer instinct. Because,
I definitely agree that the way he is approaching it and the demands that he's putting on the team in these little ways, and it's not always what he says. Sometimes it's what he doesn't say, and sometimes it's who he doesn't mention. Like in his comments, that he's kind of placing these little embers underneath these guys, hoping that it's gonna spark something, when the time comes. I do agree that he is
because his quote there too, like after the conditioning, he said, clearly we've got to find ways to be rising to the occasion at the right times rather than falling flat. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what he said after, and that's playing against the Arizona Coyotes, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, okay, when you're sending that message into the media out there, to me, it kind of, I thought of the killer instinct anyways with that, like, because you would think a team, mind you, I think they played Colorado right after us, Arizona did, and Colorado won, but it was in a shootout. So, I mean, it's not like other people were saying, if it was Tampa, they would have blown them out or whatever, right? But you got to think we played back to back. Yeah. And
I don't think that's necessarily the case, because we've all seen games where you play like a bottom feeder and they just throw everything at you defensively, because that's what they have to do to try to eke out a win or keep it close. And anything can happen in a game like that. So that doesn't necessarily, I don't think that game is necessarily going to be that meaningful in the bigger scheme of things.
It's like the e-bug, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. So
we won't mention any more names, but anyhow, I just thought it was interesting, this whole idea of the killer instinct again. To kind of visit it at the halfway point, because they always say like the regular season, like it's basically like a practice, a tune-up to get to the playoffs, right?
Well, that's why I think that going through more of a difficult time, playing these good teams, maybe not necessarily walking away with wins. That's important, because you need to have the reps to find different ways to win. And hopefully they're going to come out on the positive more times than not and kind of figure that out. But I think that there's a couple other players that I would want to mention here. I think Mikheyev is a person that it could come out on top in that kind of respect, because I think he's another guy that's on a mission, and somehow he seems to have found his scoring touch of late and is getting himself in those dirty areas. So he's somebody who's kind of like last year really disappeared, but he was coming back from things in the previous year as well. This year, I kind of will be watching him to see just how he performs. That's one guy. Another person that I think is sort of playing a little differently than he has in the past is Brody. He's like got a little bit more of a scoring touch. He is a very dependable guy. I'm kind of wondering if he is potentially an X factor kind of on the D.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, definitely. TJ Brody is, lately he was unbelievable. He had a 4-game point streak, I think,
it was
going
like forever
right,
since he had scored before that. So,
and Mikheyev, I think we better take advantage of anything that he's giving us, like improvements right now, because I don't think he's here after, by the sounds of it, he's not here after this year.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what I mean. Up. So, he's got something to prove. And he is, I think, someone who potentially could, sneak up on people. So, yeah.
For sure.
So,
kind of, what's your
my
third
period topic, which I think actually sort of has to do with this killer instinct thing, is I read an article in The Athletic about the way the Marlies are handling and developing their rookies a little bit differently this year. And I think it's actually to help develop some of this killer instinct, in that they are not being shielded in minutes as much as they have been in the past. And they are kind of being thrown into the fire and played in all kinds of situations. And they're basically being taught from the get-go how to become and how to be pros. So if they're not doing well, they're getting benched. If they're doing well, they're being put out in extra situations. So like, for example, Abramov and SDA, I'm not going to try to say his name.
Yeah.
Semyondir Arguchintsev. I don't know. Anyways, those are the two guys that the article really keyed in on, and how they are they're trying to really motivate them to, be consistent, to get stronger, to basically talk to them every game. They've got an open door policy where these guys can approach coaching staff and discuss anything. And they're going over lots of tape with them, and they're not being shielded from anything. So I kind of feel like this is something that they're trying to develop, this sort of kind of mental toughness earlier on, not just their skills on the ice. So what do you think of that?
Yeah. I think too that a lot of it comes from Haley Wickenheiser too, being the being the leader in development of our younger players. That sounds a lot like her and what she would wants. And no, and even that what's the kid's name? Is it Steve?
Yeah, Alex Steves.
Steves. Yeah. He played the other day, and like there again, like you said, they're just throwing him out in all situations, and I believe he scored the game-winning goal. And I mean, the Marlies they've been doing better lately, and I think that way I'd like to, well, not now because we have this COVID issue sort of, but eventually and they went through the absolute worst COVID issue, I think, in the American Hockey League from the sounds of it. The Marlies did. So getting through all that, they've had a lot of adversity that way. And just, I mean, their development is a key to making it on the big club too, right? So I don't know. I guess I also read in that article, Sil sent it to me in piecemeal a little bit, but I did manage to see that when I was reading it, there was a part about the nutrition as well, that they were, that I think it was that SDA, it was either him or Abramov, that they were like, we didn't really like the food that they were suggesting, but that part of it has made a difference for them as well. So it's even off the ice in what they're in their meals.
Well, yeah, and they're paired up
the
with
change.
certain veterans and stuff so that they can learn, the habits that they need to, as far as getting the rest that they need, eating right, all of that. I think one of them is lives with Christian's Rubens, and he demands that they be at the rink 2 hours before practice so that they can be in the weight room. So all of these kinds of things, they're really trying to make sure, because I think the Leafs realize that they're banking on skill. So they're picking up these skilled players. They wanted to round them out all around the edges. And that's the only way they're going to have a steady stream of guys that can come in on the cheap, when they need to. So it's important for the club.
Yeah. When you say the weight room too, I mean, most of Leafs Nation probably knows, like, the draft picks that they're
smaller,
and these they're smaller, right? So when it comes to the weight room, like, and just bulking up a little bit, like, that's something that it was good to hear that too, sort of thing, because obviously you need the difference between the AHL and the NHL and the strength and that's involved. You can have all the skill, but you need some size too. And I mean, you even look at a guy like Willie. Like Willie to start, I mean, I think that was part of his development too, right? From the start. And like now you could tell he's like, obviously he's a grown man and he's stronger.
A lot stronger
right now. But a lot stronger. But by making them stronger with the Marley, like in the Marley system now, like a lot of that, I think it will help once they come up to the Leafs and hopefully have a good career there. But yeah, no, that's true about the Marlies and the killer instinct. But so what do we got?
Well, let's take a look at what we got coming up in the schedule. Again, it's very spotty and very confusing as to what's going on most of the time. It's a very slim, let's just say, schedule of games coming up for the Leafs over the next couple weeks. They have a total of 5 games. And one of them is a home game versus Anaheim, and we don't know if they're going to be able to play because of the government COVID restrictions at that point, or if there's going to be any fans. But that's still kind of on the docket right now.
And they play the Rangers and the Islanders this week. And the Islanders game was supposed to be played here, but they've switched that and it's going to be played in New York. And then there's a home game. The home game, which was supposed to be here on Saturday, is going to be played in April sometime. So here in Toronto. So the following week, they're supposed to play the Ducks at home. That's the one that Sil was just mentioning. And then they go on the road again to play the Red Wings and the Devils on February 1st, which is the last game before the All-Star break. So Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried about all these games that are postponed and how they're going to be jammed in. And I don't know if these restrictions aren't relaxed a bit, like it's just a little bit of chaos it's chaos for us as fans and doing a show and trying to keep organized ourselves as to what's going on. And can imagine for the players, right? They gotta, obviously that's their job and what they're doing. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we just hope that the peak for COVID happens soon, and then it just starts coming down, and then hopefully by March, things will be, kind of opening up nicely. So we'll just have to wait and see, and I guess try to be as patient as possible. So before we go, we have said at the opening that we have a big announcement to make, and that is the announcement of the winner of our holiday giveaway. So again, we want to thank our sponsor and friends at Summer Fresh, who are giving $50 worth of coupons to try their delicious salads, dips, and dressings. Summer Fresh products are handcrafted in small batches and made with simple ingredients that you can find in your own kitchen.
Yeah, and we also want to thank Damien Cox, who is giving away a copy of his latest book, A League of Our Own, the story of the NHL's first all-Canadian division. And the winner is Melissa Brow. So we were we were happy to find out that Melissa is a Leafs fan and her family loves hockey. So congratulations, Melissa. And for our audience, be sure to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to find out when we have our next giveaway. Our handle is at LTL1917.
Congratulations, Melissa. And thank you so much for entering. So another way to connect with us is at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there. And if you choose to, you can also support us and buy a coffee. Any donation goes towards helping us produce the show and making it even better for you. You can find the link to our Ko-fi page on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
As always, thank you to our healthcare workers and everything they do. Thank you for listening. And please follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite app. You can find us on Facebook Podcasts, and you can also listen to us from our website, our new website. Check it out. We're going to have more content added to there shortly, but check it out for now. It's ladiestalkinleafs.com.
And one more thing, too, is that if you listen on Spotify, you can rate and review our show there. So please do rate and review if you are a Spotify listener. So stay safe and well, everybody. And we'll have more Leaf Talk for you in a couple of weeks. Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go.